Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking the high-speed rail straight into, well, the heart of the modern data center.
Yeah, we're going past the general talk about the cloud.
Way past it. We're diving into the gritty, really specific design principles that keep enterprise infrastructure running. The systems that just cannot fail.
That's absolutely right. And our sources today are super granular. We're looking at things like practice analysis, architectural breakdowns for systems like HPE Synergy, Electra 9000, and OneView.
So this deep dive is really for you, the learner, to cut through that certification-level jargon.
And just get to the pure insight, our mission is to figure out the core design philosophy. How do these multi-million-dollar systems guarantee resilience?
And manage huge changes, all while optimizing performance. It's a tricky balance.
It is. We're looking for the architectural guarantees. For instance, how can a server, running a critical workload, lose half its power and still keep going?
Without skipping a single transaction.
Exactly. That's not magic. It's just meticulous, really careful design.
That sets the stage perfectly. So let's jump right in, starting with the brains of the whole operation. Centralized management and change control.
Okay, so let's start with non-disruptive change. We're talking HPE OneView. Imagine you're managing hundreds of servers.
And you need to push a new policy.
Right, a critical one. Let's say changing a server's BIOS from default to static high performance. You do it through a server profile, but here's the server's on, it's running, it's busy.
Okay, so my first thought, coming from, personal computers, is that this has to fail, or worse, it forces a reboot right then and there.
And that's the key difference. That's where enterprise design is just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
The insight here is that OneView accepts the change, but it's smart. It knows a BIOS tweak needs a power cycle.
So it doesn't force it.
It doesn't. The system doesn't trigger a disruptive reboot. Instead, the server profile status just shifts to a warning state. Sometimes it's called a pending state.
So the software is like an intelligent gatekeeper. It registers the admin's intent, but it respects the live operating system until there's a proper maintenance window.
Precisely. But that brings up another point, right? What stops a junior admin from logging in, seeing a yellow warning flag, and just rebooting it to fix the problem?
That's a really good question. You're designing for controlled change, so you need controlled execution, too.
And it does that. The mechanism ensures that even though the change is logged, it requires a purposeful human action, that next planned restart, to actually apply it.
So the pending state is a feature, not a bug.
It's absolutely a feature. It's signaling compliance status without causing chaos.
Okay, so let's scale that up. From one server to, say, a global operation. A company has 3 data centers, each with its own local HPE OneView appliance. They need a single pane of glass to see everything.
Yeah, the classic visibility problem in a distributed setup. You've got these independent silos, but the CIO wants one dashboard showing the health, everything, everywhere.
And you can't just rip and replace what's working locally.
No way. The solution in the source material is the HPE OneView Global Dashboard.
So what's the secret sauce there? How does it work without stepping on the toes of the local teams?
The secret is non-interference. The Global Dashboard is purely for aggregation. It doesn't try to take control. It just pools the status, the alerts, the inventory data from all those independent local OneView instances.
So it's not a single point of failure. The actual configuration lives locally. This is just a read-only executive summary view.
You got it. It's a monitoring overlay. It solves the oversight problem without messing with the autonomy of the individual sites.
All right, so we've got control and compliance locked down. Let's talk about the payoff, raw speed. We're shifting from the logical to physical acceleration.
This takes us right to high-end storage, specifically the HPE Electra 9000. Now, the biggest performance killer in modern storage is data reduction.
You mean things like deduplication and compression?
Exactly. They're computationally very heavy. If you make your main CPUs do all that math, they get bogged down.
And your latency goes all over the place, which is the last thing you want.
Right. Predictable, low latency is the holy grail. So the Electra 9000 uses a dedicated, specialized hardware ASIC, an application-specific integrated circuit.
A custom chip built for just one job?
Just one job, data reduction. It offloads all that heavy lifting of inline dedupe and compression from the general-purpose CPUs.
So by doing the complex stuff in specialized silicon, the main processors are free to just serve data.
Precisely. And that guarantees you get consistently high performance and, most importantly, predictable latency, no matter how much data you're crunching.
So your storage isn't just fast, it's reliably fast.
That's the key. Consistency is way more valuable than just a high burst speed in these environments.
Okay, now for a classic problem that stops all that performance cold. An admin creates a super fast volume on the Electra, but the Windows hosters. It can't see it, the disk just isn't there. What did they miss?
This is such a common procedural mistake. You've created the resource, but you haven't made it available.
It's like building a vault, but not giving anyone the key.
That's a perfect analogy. The missing step is that the volume must be explicitly exported or presented to a specific host or host group.
So what is that export action actually doing under the hood?
It's establishing the LUN, mapping the logical unit number. That action tells the storage array, hey, advertise this specific volume to this specific server over the fiber channel or ISCSI network.
So creating the volume is a purely internal storage task.
Yes, and exporting it is the digital handshake that the server's operating system needs to actually recognize and mount it as a drive. Without that, the host is completely blind to it.
That's a great bridge to our next topic, pure infrastructure resilience. We're going from the logical layer down to the component level. Let's start with the most basic thing, power.
Power redundancy. It sounds simple, but it's so often done wrong. So you have a server with two power supplies. The goal isn't just to survive one of those failing.
It's to survive an entire power distribution unit, a PDU and a rack failing.
Right, because if you plug both server power supplies into the same PDU strip,
And that strip fails, your server goes down, dual power supplies didn't help you at all.
exactly. So the textbook high availability setup is physical path separation. Power supply 1 connects to PDU A on the left side of the rack. Power supply 2 connects to PDU B on the right.
And ideally, those two PDUs are on separate circuits.
Separate circuits, separate UPS systems, you name it. You eliminate the PDU as a single point of failure. The left side of the rack can go dark, and the server just keeps running on the right.
Okay, let's level up from the rack to the frame. In a modular system like HPE Synergy, you have multiple frames connected in a ring. How do you protect the management of that entire ring?
The focus there is on the master interconnect modules. They are the nervous system of the composable fabric. If you lose the frame that contains your master module,
You've lost control of the entire environment, even if the other frames are fine.
you're flying blind. So the rule is the primary and secondary master interconnect modules must be physically located in different frames.
Primary in frame 1, secondary frame 2.
For example, yes, that physical separation ensures the management plane itself is redundant against a whole frame failure. It's a critical piece of architectural hygiene.
And what about maintaining individual components? Let's say a cooling fan fails in a mission-critical ProLiant server. It's got hot plug redundancy. Does a tech need to schedule downtime?
No, absolutely not. This is what zero downtime maintenance is all about.
Right.
The correct procedure is for the technician to walk up, open the access panel, and swap the failed fan while the server is running.
You pull it out while it's processing who knows what.
Yep. The system is designed for it. You have N+1 or even N+N fan redundancy. The remaining fans instantly spin up to compensate for the missing one.
So there's a built-in tolerance. The system is designed to fail gracefully.
It's designed to tolerate failure to allow for human intervention without disruption. It's a massive operational advantage.
Okay, let's wrap up by looking at the life cycle of these systems, from secure decommissioning at the end to consistency at the very beginning.
Let's start with the end. You're decommissioning a server. Wiping the hard drives is the easy part. The real risk is the sensitive data left on the motherboard itself.
You mean like configuration data, passwords, cryptographic keys?
All of it. A standard OS format won't touch any of that, so you need a way to sanitize the hardware itself.
How do you do that?
Through ILO 6, there's a feature called One-Button Secure Erase. It's a comprehensive, hardware-level wipe. It erases everything, user data, config metadata, crypto material, and restores the system to a true factory state.
Which is absolutely essential for compliance if you're reselling or repurposing that hardware.
It's a non-negotiable final step. You guarantee nothing can be recovered.
Now let's flip to the beginning. With stateless systems like HPE Synergy Image Streamer, you need absolute consistency. How do you make sure every compute module boots up with the exact same OS image every single time?
The artifact for that is called the golden image.
And that's more than just a template, isn't it?
Oh, much more. The golden image is an immutable read-only operating system volume. It has the OS, the drivers, the base configuration, all locked down.
So because it's read-only, you eliminate configuration drift right from the start.
Exactly. Every server you deploy is a perfect, consistent clone of that golden image. It massively simplifies management and troubleshooting across your entire fleet.
Last topic, looking into the future. With consumption models like HPE GreenLake, admins need to know when they're going to run out of capacity. Where do they find that forecast?
Inside the HPE GreenLake Central Portal, they need to go to the Capacity Planning or Consumption Analytics dashboard.
So it's more than just a report of what you used last month.
For sure. These tools are designed for forecasting, they track your growth trends, and use predictive models to tell you, hey, based on your current usage, you're going to run out of capacity in, say, 4 months.
It lets you be proactive instead of reactive.
That's the whole point. It lets you align your scaling and procurement with actual business needs long before it becomes an emergency.
If these systems are engineered to handle physical failure automatically, hot plug fans, dual PDUs, separate management modules, where does the human become the biggest risk?
That's a great question. Think about that tension between automation and procedure. Automation handles the physical stuff breaking, but we saw that a human still has to export that volume. A human still has to decide when to reboot the server to apply that BIOS change.
So, what required human-system interaction, if you get it wrong or just skip it, could bring down the whole system, even if all the hardware redundancy is perfect. That's the real challenge, isn't it? Recognizing that the greatest resilience comes not just from components that don't fail, but from procedures that are never skipped. Keep exploring.